Welcome to If I Did It, where we analyze and solve PR kerfuffles from a world of MMA and beyond. I'm your host, Alexi Ald, and joining us as always is Kid Nate of Bloody Elbow, and back, Eugene S. Robinson from Aussie.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever Want to Know About Ass Kicking, but we're afraid you'd get your ass kicked for asking. Welcome back, Eugene.
Sir, it's good to be back in black. It's good to be, you know what I mean.
Just back in the saddle.
Man,
again.
I'm just glad to not have died a fiery death over the Atlantic, if you know what I mean.
Oh Lord.
Rough flight?
You know what? Anytime I'm on the flight, it's a rough flight. No, I'm ready to take any and sundry down. You know, you can increase your chance of survival 4% by doing 4 simple things when you fly. Do you know what these things are?
Sit in the back.
You have to sit behind the wing. You get 1% survival, 1%. Okay?
All right.
2, you have to keep your shoes on. So now you're 2% up on everybody else.
All right. 3,
you have to sit within 5 rows of an exit. And so behind the wing, shoes on, 5 rows of the exit. And, oh, my God, I can't believe what the shoot. I can't remember what number 4 is.
Oh, man. See, now someone's going to lose their life because of your memory, Eugene. Thank you.
Hey, man, I'm giving you 3%. That's the most I can do. So thank you and thank me. You're bummed.
Well, think about thanking. You're the UFC, Eugene. Days after scheduling Jon Jones to fight for the UFC light heavyweight title at UFC 197 in April, KRQE News 13 reported that Bones was cited for driving without a license, registration, or insurance. That's the 3. His punishment, let's go back to that magic number, 3 days community service. During the MMA hour, his manager said, quote, "It's not a big deal." The New Mexico Corrections Department rep told MMA Fighting, quote, "Traffic infractions are minor in nature," end quote. Jon Jones' Instagram video response, they're talking about tickets. Yep. What are you talking about as the UFC, Eugene?
Well, you know what? I mentioned this on Knuckle Up, which I recorded in a state of delirium last night after having told Kid Nate I wouldn't do it. I did it anyway. And it was, I don't know what I said, but I suspect that what I said is, look, on the one hand, if you leave your wallet at home, many of us carry in our wallet the insurance, your license, your registration in the same wallet. If you leave that alone, you have also broken the same law. But that's a smokescreen because my spies in New Mexico say the song remains the same in regards to Johnny Boney Joni. You know, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. He's probably in the wrong room based on associates. But, you know, his Allen Iverson-esque response is a good one because what he's saying is, in essence, I haven't stabbed anybody. I haven't shot anybody. Realistically, the UFC can't fire me now. And if they do, we know that I could make a good home at Bellator. What are you going to do? He's in that Mike Tyson zone of what are you going to do? The likelihood of him doing what Mike Tyson did and getting put in jail is probably not high. So it's just penny ante stuff. It's ruined his sponsorship ability. That's a word I just made up, sponsorship ability. But that was ruined when he broke the pregnant woman's arm. So he's got nothing to lose. You know, it's bad press. But I think he's already resigned himself. It's not as bad as half the shit that his brothers probably come and tell him happens in the NFL. You know, Johnny Manziel coming to practice drunk, recently accused, allegedly, of beating up a girlfriend. Why? Why? You know, just traffic tickets. All right. Have fun, man. All right. So, you know, is it bad? On a scale of what? You know, on a Sage Northcutt scale, it's bad. You know, what's that guy doing? You know, Father, forgive me for I've sinned. What's your sin, Mr. Sage Northcutt? Well, I left a tube off the toothpaste. It's not that.
So what do you think, Nate?
Well, I think Eugene's right that Jones is somewhat untouchable because he's got nothing to lose. He's out as a bad guy, cocaine user, car wreck having, weed smoker. The thing is, this is somewhat more serious as a traffic infraction, given that his 2 biggest screw-ups happened when he was driving.
Right.
So it's not like he got in trouble for robbing a bank or embezzling, or making obscene phone calls. Like, this is stuff he was doing behind the wheel that got him in trouble. So people are a little more jumpy when they hear Jon Jones pulled over, driving infraction. At the same time, I mean, he had a license. He just didn't present it at the time to the cops. And I guess New Mexico doesn't have the digital system, which shouldn't surprise me. Like, these days in Texas, when I get pulled over, they already know all my stuff. I don't even have to dig it up.
They do, but that doesn't. That's not the issue. So in California too, they still put you through the ritual humiliation of, can I see this piece of paper? It's like, did you cross your T's? Did you dot your I's? And the reality of it is, once you get into the justice system, in the one time I was arrested for false information to a police officer, afterward they put me on probation for 12 months, and they are 18 months. It's like, come on. What is the likelihood any of us could go 18 hours without breaking the law? Did you roll through that stop sign? Did you speed? But I realized, man, this will just go on forever. You can't, unless you get out from under the shadow, the penumbra of the justice system, they will just, that could turn a traffic thing into a 10-year offense,
So you don't offer Boney Joni car service?
You know what? A buddy of mine, I think he calls it freewheeler. He goes, it's the more friendly alternative to Uber and Lyft. It's either called freewheel or freewheeler, which I'm going to start using now. Apparently, he's got lots of, corporate complaints about Uber, which I already knew, but Lyft I thought was okay. He was like, no, they're all scumbags. I go, look, New York City cabs, fuck you. And he was like, yeah, well, try freewheeler. That's easy to use, man. It's easy. I did, for the first time in a long time, didn't use long-term parking because I was getting gouged. And, or rather, they figured out how to keep me from gaming the system, which I had been doing. Oh, 14 days away, $10? Yes. So now I'm taking Lyft to the airport. You can do it very simple. Outside of having to make conversation with the guy, and if he doesn't know you're a fighter, what kind of conversation are you going to make? What do you do? I'm a basketball player. Okay, silence. Use it. Why not? Why not?
So they should. So you would have a conversation with him about hooking him up.
What he seems to fail to realize is that people are out to get him.
Right.
At this point now, he's like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Francis, but at this moment in time, it is like the movie Francis. It will end up with him being sexually molested in a mental institution.
Oh, man.
I mean, I guess if you're Johnny Boney Joni, that would have to be a voluntary call. Okay, I guess you can molest me again.
Oh, thank you. On that note, Nate, you're Yoel Romero.
Obviously, my Cuban hat.
After making a public case to Ariel Helwani that your failed post-fight drug test was due to a contaminated supplement that contained an unlabeled banned substance, you are awaiting a USADA ruling which could range from a reprimand to a 2-year suspension. What private or public appeal are you making with the UFC regarding your return to middleweight title contention?
He just needs to keep his mouth shut until the USADA ruling comes down, or the NSC ruling. Like, there's nothing he can do. What they were doing before the MMA Hour appearance this week, where they were pushing rumors that Bisping was out of the fight and Yoel Romero was going to go to England and fight Anderson Silva, that the B test was negative, and all this stuff. Eugene froze in the most ridiculous picture ever. We lost Eugene. Yeah. Oh, well, we'll just keep talking.
So make sure if you're watching it, just put it to full screen or whatever you have to do to see his face. It is spectacular. But
yeah, Yoel lost cause, man. I mean, he needs to keep his mouth shut. It was one of these guys that everybody suspected he was on roids before he got busted,
right?
And then he got busted. So no big surprise. But you're not doing yourself any favors by continuing to dig and continuing to spout bullshit. You got to just keep your mouth shut. Stop spreading rumors around. Give up the hope. You got busted. You were cheating.
But in terms of dealing with the UFC, though, you don't at least have any kind of conversation, or you keep quiet. I mean, what's the negative to at least have some kind of thing?
Much better off by saying, "I did it. I'm sorry. Here's how I did it. I won't do it again." And don't be digging up excuses like the tainted supplement thing. That's something people were doing back in the Hermes Franca, Sean Shirk days. And it didn't do those cats any favors. It's not going to do you any favors. And telling Eugene that it was him. And so, just be honest as you can be, and give up the bullshit. Keep your mouth shut. Call Dana and be like, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I won't do it again. These are the changes I'm making. Because there's such a long history of fighters and nonsense excuses for steroid busts. Like Anderson Silva and his elaborate tale about somebody who came from Thailand and gave him a sexual supplement.
Right.
Alexander Overeem and his doctor from Texas that had the big syringe marked anti-inflammatory that turned out to be, pure testosterone, basically. And you just look ridiculous. It doesn't do you any favors. Don't get off. Like, just do your time, man. You did the.
Do you think that when you're mentioning that litany of examples where individuals have violated and been caught in all the bullshit excuses, do you think that helps Yoel Romero's chances for, if he gets a slap on the wrist, being able to come in and getting a shot? Or
but that's a mighty big if, and almost nobody gets a slap on the wrist from Nevada. The best way to get a slap on the wrist from Nevada is to say, I did it, I'm sorry. Like they've shown over time to be much more merciful with fighters, especially boxers for whatever reason, who come in and like, yeah, I did it, sorry, than they are like you saw what happened to Nick Diaz when he tried to fight. I mean, they didn't care that it was a minor drug. They didn't care, that he had a medical marijuana prescription. They don't care about that stuff. It's all about, are you recognizing my authority? And if you don't go in there and get on your knees and bow to the authorities, they are going to burn you. And so there's no percentage there.
Interesting.
Let me see what's going on with Eugene. I'll give him a call. But we can move on to the next question and catch Eugene up when he
That's
comes.
fine. It'll be Eugene's speed round. So if you're Cam Newton.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm back.
Oh!
Hey.
Fuck, man, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on.
Try plugging in the LAN instead of the
I am plugged into the LAN.
Well, that's all I got. Sorry.
All right.
No, you missed the Yoel Romero question.
So for Yoel Romero, Eugene, I don't know if you heard any of it.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and the fact that you're awaiting the USADA ruling, do you have any conversations with the UFC until the ruling is made to preserve your middleweight title contention?
It's nothing to talk about. I mean, God has actually smiled on him by giving him cover when it was revealed that these supplement companies, not routinely regulated well by the FDA, are putting in extra stuff. It's like that Chinese restaurant in Taiwan or Hong Kong that was putting heroin in the noodles. Thinking, man, we need the edge. I mean, so, if you're taking a supplement, it's working, who's going to question it? I bought it at GNC. It's got to be legit, right? Yeah, I used to take Dark Rage. It's illegal in Canada, all of Canada. So, obviously some places where they pay attention. At this point now, he's not well-liked enough. He's not a big enough name. He's not a big enough draw for him to need to petition anybody. He just, do what you're doing. Hang out. Wait for the phone to ring.
The heroin in the noodles reminds me of what there's Dave Chappelle that talked about how Krispy Kremes were so tasty. It's like they put some crack on it. It's like, God damn, I didn't got another Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
And after he exposed that, they weren't so tasty. Now think about that one. So,
yeah, because nobody likes to be manipulated. It's like, yeah. I mean, however, if I found a place that was putting heroin in noodles, I might go there every now and then. After a rough training session, I got aches and pains. I need to,
Well, speaking about aches and pains, if you're Cam Newton, Eugene, I don't know if you heard all this news and saw this the hubbub, but after introducing yourself to casual Super Bowl viewers as a tantrum-throwing loser, you sulked and walked out of the post-game press conference after offering a series of curt, monosyllabic answers. What PR moves, if any, do you make to control your brand before the new season begins?
Oh, no. You don't need to do that. One, they were never trying to sell this guy as the all-American answer to anything. They don't do that with black cats. Two, I'm sitting in the lobby of a hotel in Italy. I'm sitting in the lobby of a hotel in Italy being ice grilled by Italians because I can't figure out why. And I remember I got the Mussolini sticker on the outside of my computer. But I happened to look down, and one of the magazines, they have Cam Newton on the cover. Do you know how big of a deal this is? They don't give a shit about American football in Italy. Nobody cares about it. But Cam Newton is on the cover under a headline that says in English, an Italian language publication, Cam Newton, the Black Panther. So they're not going to make him an All-American. He has just Conor McGregored himself in a minor way, not as significant as McGee, but in a minor way because he's become a personality. He could push it too far and become a T.O., a Terrell Owens, and then he's like, you know what, this is a self-obsessed kind of crybaby prick.
But you don't take advantage of that press, though. You said that they have something on him. Do you you don't try to seize the moment for this?
Yeah, I think anytime somebody's shoving a microphone in your face for good or for ill, and you don't use it, like the claim I'm making on Knuckle Up about McGee. He's like, you guys are bums. What he's saying is, you got the mic, you got the floor, you got to use it every time it's given you because 99% of the people never get it. Nobody's listening to them at all. But maybe I'm hoping this is part of an extended PR strategy, or at least can be spun that way, which is, I'm the damned artistic, brooding, I'm the Brad Pitt of football, handsome, impetuous, and brooding. That's the play. Whiny, rich, if he crashes his Rolls Royce at this point, that doesn't play. If he beats up his girlfriend in a drunken snit, that doesn't play. But if he does his damned artistic, shall I stay or shall I go thing, that could play.
What do you think, Nate?
Well, I think he already hit on a good response when he came out afterwards and said, I'm a sore loser. I'm sorry. I want to win. When I lose, I'm pissed. I act
That's a good one.
People understand that. They're like, yep. Yeah, this guy just sunk all this energy and emotional investment into wanting to win the Super Bowl, got his ass kicked. I mean, that Broncos defense is one of the best of all time, and they put a beating on this kid. It's like nobody can blame him for being pissed off. His offensive line let him down. His coaching staff let him down. They had no answer for the Broncos game. Yep. He let himself down. I mean, of course he's going to be pissed. I think that Eugene's exactly right. You got to keep your pouting on brand, though. It can't be selfish bullshit.
Yep.
It's got to be stuff about the game, about I want to be a winner. Any kind of black nationalism stuff is totally fine. Jumping in the Beyonce kerfuffle about all these jackasses that are having heart seizures because there were Black Panther uniforms and nods to Black Power and the Beyonce thing. It's like, at some point all white people and cops are going to have to just give it up because black people are getting killed by police for no reason. Like in my hometown, they just shot a kid for running around an apartment complex naked. Like, they didn't have a taser? They always have a taser when it's some dumbass cracker doing something. Like,
yeah.
What? His cock was so big you were terrified and had to shoot the kid? Like, what is?
Well, hey, you're getting close to the point there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hysterical fear, and it's just like there's limited amount of sympathy. There's certain circles, if you're watching Fox News and you're at the retirement home with the old white guys, why in my day these boys knew their place, blah blah blah. Nobody else gives a fuck. Everybody else is like, get over it, granddad, shut up.
Well, I've come to the conclusion. I was in a restaurant in Italy, and the guy. First of all, they were cool. They let the flower salesman guy in, right? And the flower salesman guy is Indian. I asked the guy in English, I said, where are you from? He goes, Bangladesh. And he's trying to sell me a flower, and I'm unmovable, because Eugene opens his wallet for no one, Unless it's going to turn out the lights, to keep the lights on, I'm keeping the wallet closed. So he leaves, and the cook comes out and starts talking to me in Italian, with my limited Italian skills, and he says, look, we have a problem with immigration here. I'm not a racist. That was his, of course, anytime anybody says to me, I'm not a racist, I'm like, ding, 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 racist. but he says, I'm not a racist, and my problem with immigration is not a racial one, but Italy is a small country, and he starts making this motion with his hands, ooh, ooh, where it's just we can't absorb all these people who don't have anything. We don't have that much money here. And then you start to think, I got it. Pretty much, it's an international, nobody likes you if you're poor. That's it. People, a friend of mine, I said, you think I could pass? He goes, no, you can't pass. People know you're an American. I go, how do they know that? First, you look like an American, you walk like an American, you dress like an American, and number 4, you don't look African. So that means that you have money to get here and you have money to leave, and in the process, you'll leave some money. I mean, what's happening whether it's Syria or it's Bangladesh, nobody loves you if you're poor. You are fucked. You know, you are absolutely positively fucked because these countries do not want you. You have nothing. Make a go of it in Mogadishu because you're not getting anything where you're going. So,
man,
I mean, and it is a deeply philosophical issue. Like, what is the solution to poverty? You can't. They say the average person to be happy needs to make at least $70,000 a year in America, but they also say you have a 7% chance of changing your economic status in America. That means if you're born poor, 93% of you will be poor forever. That's a hard fucking reality, especially when you know nobody cares about you.
Man, oh, what a bummer.
Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry at all.
Oh, well, speaking about sorry, this is the curveball.
Got it.
Eugene, you're the NRA. Ted Nugent's been on a tear blaming gun laws on the Jews.
Oh, he finally stepped in it with that one. Did he really?
Yes.
He had a post that had different individuals that are responsible for the gun laws, and he had a little Israeli flag.
There you go.
And most of them happen to be of certain persuasion.
You know what? He stepped in it with that one because grandmothers carry sidearms in Tel Aviv. So he really is using it as a shorthand for Jew or Hebrew.
Well, he actually invoked Hitler. Like, this is the thing. It's like it's not a function of, okay, here's some messaging or here's subliminal. Straight out, he invoked Hitler.
You know, there's a great scene in that 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or Die Trying, when he's walking through a party and he bumps shoulders with some guy who then, bodies up to him. And then he looks at the guy and says, I guess you forgot where you are. And it's a great scene because, the guy, you can see the guy, the actor, I mean, they're acting, of course, but you see the actor take measure of that and go, I guess he's right. I mean, Ted Nugent.
That's one to grow on.
You can kick poor Latinos and black folks around, but you're not gonna, man. People have suffered, but nobody suffered like the Jews have suffered. I know people are gonna get cranky. Oh yeah. You show me a history of subjugation that goes back beyond 2,000 years.
I'd say that the bigger distinction is few have organized against suffering like the Jews have in the last 70 years. That's the big.
I like that. That
this is a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of organization, then, so what do you do, Eugene?
Well, we haven't
the
even
NRA.
gotten to the punchline. Tell him the sequel. He didn't just post the meme. Then he followed up by saying that Holocaust victims were soulless sheep.
Yeah.
Oh my God! All right.
He doubled down, Eugene. He doubled down.
He doubled down. Does anybody see this? Hardcore Phil Anselmo friends, associates, guys who've worked with him before have come to me, and backwater channels have come to me and said, we're off him. We're off. We're backing. We can't, And
I tried to tell you the guy was an asshole ages ago, Eugene. You wouldn't listen.
Okay. But yeah. But they are at a loss. They are at a loss. No, I mean, they are at a loss to explain it, and that's the thing. It's like, it's so counterproductive that it really boggles the mind. It just boggles the mind, I mean, Nugent doesn't know it, but he is dead. He's dead.
So what's it, NRA? Just ignore it? Like, do you just, if you're in the NRA, how do you handle this?
Let me remind you. Do you remember the movie Transformers, right?
I remember the cartoon.
Okay, good for you. Well, they made it for those of you who are stuck in the 80s. They made a couple of movies. This guy Michael Bay. Who was the woman? Who was the woman who?
Megan Fox. I did see the movie.
Megan Fox said working for Michael Bay was like working in Auschwitz or something like that.
Yeah.
She was gone before her feet touched the fucking ground. Spielberg picked up the phone and she was gone. You know what? Nobody thinks it's funny. I mean, I was at a wrestling match. One of my kids was wrestling. I was, man, these bleacher seats, these fucking like Auschwitz. Because I forget that I'm not at jiu-jitsu. I'm just, and everybody, the like two concentric rings of people around me turn and looking like, what? You're comparing a foam bench to the death of Azal. Okay, maybe I overstated the point there. And my intent was not fucking hostile. I mean, you gotta be, man. People have lost grandparents. This is not a fucking joke at all. You know, no political. I mean, the people who are going to give you cover right now can't give themselves enough cover for their beliefs.
So you leave it alone. Your NRA, you just the mic's in your face, Eugene. Someone says, "What do you think about Ted Nugent?" And you just say no comment, or like, what do you do?
They got to kick him off the board.
Yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go, man. We got 6 million fucking dead people, like Mel Gibson's father. What happened to them? They wandered off. They're Jews. That's what they do. Nah, man, you got to go. You got to go. This shit, especially as Europe is itching to ease. I mean, okay, center right in Europe is far left here, but they're itching to go right. It's just, and it gives people bad feelings. We're not going to buy stuff from Israel. Really? Come on, man. This is such a low percentage move. But at least we know now he's a true believer. This is not cynical opportunism. So There is that. Double
dip in shame. What do you think, Nate?
They got to dump him. I mean, when the Ramones did the song Pinhead, Dee Dee Ramone came up with a sequel called Cripple. And Johnny said, no, we can't do that. And Dee Dee was like, what? It's no more offensive than Pinhead. And Johnny was like, Pinheads can't organize a picket line, and Cripples can. And then the thing is, the Jews are agitated and organized. They are a tight block, a very influential.
They're a secret cabal.
I mean, I'm just talking about
global domination.
That's out in the open. The defense league, et cetera. They're not taking any shit. Like, this is an organized thing, and it's also an organized movement with extremely close ties to the right-wing establishment in America. Like, that's been, the dynamic of the last 20 years. Bibi Netanyahu and others moving the government of Israel into an open partisan alliance with the Republican Party. That makes it real hard for the NRA, which has also moved into a partisan alliance with the Republican Party. I think Ted screwed the pooch. If he survives this, I will be astonished.
Well, since you're talking about Republicans and pooch screwing, Nate, you're Karl Rove. Your super PAC spent millions on negative ads.
Hold on, this just in. CM Punk, back surgery. Sorry.
CM Punk.
Are you serious?
Yep. The UFC fight to be delayed. I guess Mickey Gall looked a little too good, even though I thought he looked extremely bad. Just came in over the wire.
Oh, man. All right, so go on.
Breaking news. So, your Karl Rove, your super PAC spent millions on negative ads in New Hampshire attacking Hillary Clinton for her close ties to Wall Street. Will you take your show on the road to South Carolina highlighting the Clinton's terrible record of incarcerating black people and her large campaign contributions from private prison interests?
Oh, he will. He will. Now, I think it's a bit foolish because I think it's a case of be careful what you wish for. Like, the political acumen of the Republican establishment right now is on full display for everyone to see. Like, if you follow Karl Rove over the last few election cycles, his PACs have spent gazillions of dollars and have won almost nothing. Even in the wave elections in 2020, 2014, donors were coming back saying, hey, the Koch brothers won all their elections. How come I lost all mine? Like, screw you, Karl. And Karl's throwing good money after bad, going after Sanders and attacking Clinton. And the gambit is, he thinks Sanders is just a laughably weak candidate, and so he's going to help Sanders tear down what he thinks is the stronger candidate. This is a party that can't even figure out they need to coalesce around one candidate and stop Donald Trump. Like, Christie and everybody was attacking Rubio because they all think, I'm going to be the anti-Trump guy. Like, you can do the math on the election results last night. If all the people that voted against Donald Trump had voted for the same candidate, he wouldn't have won a thing. Like, he would have got 30% of the vote, and he would have lost as bad as Clinton. Instead, you got 5 guys getting over 10%, and they're totally hopelessly divided. Now you've got Kasich as winning New Hampshire, but he's way too liberal to be winning South Carolina. You've got Rubio, who hurt himself bad. I think we're going to talk about that later. You got Chris Christie, who's going after Rubio. You got Jeb still slurking around, and Jeb has all this money.
I told you.
Right.
I'm not saying he's not going to be remaining a force in the campaign, but he ain't winning shit. Like, people think he's a loser. Like, Jeb has humiliated himself to the point, and here you got Karl Rove being what I call too clever by half. and attacking Bernie Sanders. And I think he needs to look at the polling numbers coming out of this and check himself and spend that money going after Donald Trump or Ted Cruz if he wants to help the GOP establishment.
What do you think, Eugene?
Yeah, I'm still, everybody's trying to talk me down off the ledge with this Jeb Bush thing, but I'm terrified. But yeah, Rove. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Rove has been done for a long time. But I admire the fact that he's made it pay. I mean, this is a guy got the brass ring, not going to relinquish the brass ring. I mean, what else is he going to do? What really, realistically speaking, what else is he going to do? But yeah, if people are watching carefully, this is a guy who needs to be careful, presuming that he can't really want to do anything else and wants to succeed at what he's doing. But is he succeeding now? I would say not.
Another person last night spoke to the effectiveness of those ads. I mean, the shellacking everybody knew Sanders was going to be Clinton, but he crushed her. He won every demographic group by double digits, except Democrats making more than $250,000 a year, which is a campaign ad right there.
But you know what the thing is. I mean, the Clinton fatigue. I don't know if you brain studies. They did these things where they had people put together puzzles, teams of people. One person is sitting, the other person's doing, and they found out that when the person putting the puzzle together was a plant, and their objective was to fuck up. And when they watched the brain waves of the person who was really being tested, their partner who was sitting there watching them fuck up, it registered extreme distress. It's as though they themselves were making the mistake. So the stuttering, muttering, bumbling Clinton campaign is just, for a politician that's as astute as Bill, it seems to smack of, interfamily hostility weirdness, because it's, he could easily give a kitchen table tutorial about how to run out there and do it, but, it's my wife, so, okay, I got it. I got to let her do it herself, but, I mean, it's a catastrophe no matter how you cut it. Yeah, Carl, the ads are being effective, but they open themselves up every fucking time. No way by New Hampshire should she be here. No way.
Yeah, and her two messages. In Iowa, her message was, no, we can't. I'm going to be the candidate that'll slightly slow down our slide into political dystopia, whereas this radical guy's making all these promises. And then in New Hampshire, the message was, if you're a woman and you don't vote for Hillary, you need to go to hell. What?
Stuttering, muttering, bumbling,
yeah, it's like people like her just fine when she, not everybody, some people hate her to death, but plenty of people like her. Like after the Benghazi hearing, her message there was, and people are like, yeah, did you see Hillary go, she told those Republican clowns, if she would just stick to bashing the Republicans and saying, I'm going to fight for you, she'd be winning. And she still has an excellent chance. She's still the prohibitive favorite for the nomination.
New Hampshire, though, yeah.
Turn it around, man, because her messaging has been awful.
Well, it's funny because they're supposed to be shaking up her campaign office. Well, I'm not sure whether they're really going to do that or do they just say
they will, because the people in charge of her campaign now are all these young bloods that don't have the buy-in from her skeletal old evil dinosaurs, and some of the all these.
So who is she? Is she getting rid of the old guys, or is she getting rid of the young guys?
She's getting rid of the young bloods. She's getting, that's who's going to take steps back, and she's going to bring in some of these people. I mean, that's how the Clintons always operate. They're like the Rolling Stones of politics. They just bring in new advisors. Keith's not passed out on heroin. Better bring in a new piano player. That's kind of. Hillary's off message. Oh, better fire the pollster. They're bringing in a new layer of old creeps that have run before, and it feeds the internal.
And more importantly, it creates the impression in your mind is this really the way I want to spend the next 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to our teachable moment. And I'm gonna keep the ball in the court of Nate for this one. Nate. Your Florida Tea Party Senator and presidential candidate Marco Rubio. Barack Obama was allegedly recruited by Senate leader Harry Reid as a presidential candidate to prevent a return to the Clinton era. Reid saw a unique historic opportunity that had to occur before Obama established a voting record which would undermine his appeal as a fresh, new alternative to politics as usual. And it paid off big time. You Marco, followed the Obama blueprints. You're a one-term senator, young, minority, and you almost convinced the world that third place in Iowa was a victory. Within a week, New Jersey Governor and Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie vivisected you during the New Hampshire debate by questioning your readiness and exposing your Senate voting truancy. And how did you respond? By repeating the same 25-second speech 3 times during the debate, which had no relevance whatsoever to the questions at hand. What moves can you make, Marco, to prevent these cuts from deepening and eviscerating your candidacy?
Man, I don't know that Marco can be helped. Like, watching that debate, that was a Rick Perry oops moment. Like, you rarely get. That's why we had these debates, because and you rarely ever get them. But when Christie started shellacking him, and he goes right back to the talking points, and then Christie calls him out.
See that? There you go. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Take me to your leader. Take me to your leader. Take me to your leader.
Yeah, Rubio froze in the headlights, and you don't fix that, man. My advice to Rubio is pack it in, clown, because you're done. Like, endorse somebody else. You had some other issues with your immigration flip-flops and all that. You know, if you want to help, it depends what your agenda is. Like, if it's not just personal ambition, if you are the guy from the Republican establishment, you want to help the Republican establishment, drop out now, endorse Jeb, endorse Kasich, endorse Christie. Get out of there, because you're just cluttering things up and you're not going to win. You are not going to win. There's nothing you can do. The kid froze. He froze out there. I've worked
several times. That was the thing that's so funny about it, is I was watching that and I asked people, what was worse, that or the please clap? And the thing is, with the please clap moment, did you see that one, Eugene, abroad?
No, somebody texted me about it. I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
So what happens is Jeb is there giving a speech about how he's not going to be a blowhard, how he's a solid leader, quiet leadership, and he's doing a quiet build. You can tell, like, as you're listening to the longer you hear the build up to it, like, you can tell that he's building up to a certain moment. But his voice is not really, the level changes aren't really that extreme. Right. They're not powerful. They're
dynamic
kind of like going like this. They're kind of like going like this, as opposed to like this.
Yep.
And so at a certain point he stops and he says, "Please clap."
Oh man!
And then people are like, "Woo!"
Oh,
and you watch it, and like, I found out about it through last week's show, plug, and I expected to watch him like, "Oh God, look at that!" I felt so bad, and so I felt terrible. And when I shared it with folks, they had similar feelings. They were like, "Fuck, this guy is so pathetic." So you have to ask yourself, what was, that happen? And then the Robo Ken doll thing happened, and the Rubio thing is like, you know what? At least with Jeb, it's a situation where maybe in the prep that was a key moment where people were supposed to clap, and like he wanted to give a suggestion. It's pathetic. But if you look at Rubio, it's like, this guy is just totally like, who is this guy? Like, does he have an original thought in his head?
Did you see what Rubio's campaign tweeted out afterwards? They said, "Our man couldn't be knocked off message, on message."
And he said the same thing in a follow-up interview. They asked him, and he said, the fact that everyone's talking about it means that it was successful. And people are watching like, are you
if you really believe that, you're in deep, stinking shit. If you really believe that.
Yeah. I mean, he was claiming that he was doing fine, and you had idiots like Bill Kristol still pushing that he was going to win the whole primary.
Has anybody listened to Bill Kristol since George W. Bush was left office? Really?
Anybody sane who was paying attention hasn't, but there's a whole audience for these people. In fact, I believe he's on Jeb Bush's shadow cabinet for foreign policy. So
that's encouraging, and now you see why I'm terrified and won't rest until Jeb leaves the race.
Yeah, I think you're just you got vestigial instincts. Right? I think this werewolf has a stake through its heart.
So you know what? The curveball is a second curveball, right, of the week, which is a curveball in of itself. Eugene, and it's a perfect segue, unplanned. You're a 600-pound hog. You escaped from a New Hampshire farm on Tuesday. And where did you go? To the nearest polling station. Since you can't vote because you're a pig, why were you there? Was it Jeb fear?
I could be jet lagged so badly. I don't know what you just said, But it sounds like you just asked me about a 600-pound hog going to a polling station in New Hampshire.
Yes, it wandered. It wandered. It escaped. It escaped from a farm. You think, okay, it's escaping. Like, where is it going to go? It went straight to the nearest polling station, and it was
man,
just
it probably smelled the bacon cooking and was like, "Yay, baby!" Yeah. Oh no, oh no, I got this totally wrong. Soylent Green is made out of pigs. You know,
so there's no political reasons. It's straight up, pig tomfoolery.
Well, you know what needs to happen? Some Republican needs to buy the pig and set the pig free on their multiple-acre ranch.
Yeah, if that's into that happening. This pig, it was a cry for help, Lexi. He wanted to get caught.
No. I'm saying that the New York cow. Everybody fell in love with the New York cow, right?
Right. You paint the cows and all over New York.
In fact, I'm gonna make the claim that pig is actually Eugene S. Robinson. You know, that pig is looking at the cow going, Jesus Christ. You know how long after the Chilean miners became fucking celebrities, you know how long I spent trying to throw myself in the holes, trying to, and it didn't fucking work out. So, now the Chilean, everybody loves these guys. And, they pulled some guy out of the tin can building in Taiwan. Guy's a celebrity now. It's like, the pig is like that. The pig is sitting around like, man, that New York cow, man, he's getting a lot of love. I could pull it off. It's like Darby Crash. I'm going to commit suicide. The world will be shocked. John Lennon gets shot the next day. Wah. Yeah, cue the clown music, man.
There we go.
Good luck, Mr. Pig. You're fucking dead anyway. And plus, New Hampshire, they catch that 70-pound lobster that had lived 250 years or something like that, and they were like, amnesty for the lobster, and they set it free or some such thing. It's like, man, this pig is going straight to bacon. Sorry, Jack. Which is also like Eugene S. Robinson.
Well, one thing that we're introducing new for the show this week, and I'm going to ask you this one, Nate, to start it off. A viewer question from Leg Punch. Do you think Roy Nelson will be fined for putting an outside sponsor T-shirt on his kid at the open workouts?
Yes, I think they will. I think that it's. I think they're trying to send a message. Cut the crap. Get on board with the Reebok. Stop messing around. They don't like Roy anyway. Roy is pretty much a wrung washcloth. They're not getting a title run out of him. He's like 1-7 in his last 8 fights. I mean, or 2-6. Dude has no stroke, no leverage. He's been a pain in the ass. He's been a burr under the saddle. Yes, they're going to find him.
Wow.
And also, this is something I would agreed with Nate 100% 2 weeks ago. But if you don't think that the Ben Henderson thing has caused some people to go, wait a minute. Now the question is, on the Baldwin's part, the question is, how much do we need him? In other words, not how much of an asset is a person here, but how much of a deficit will they be when they're counterfighting at Bellator, I mean, I think, yes, Roy with, 39, that last fight was terrible. The Rushall thing, man, that was just absolute misery for me to sit through, and I'm a fan, but at the same time, I had often thought that Scott Coker was a sleeper cell and created exclusively to guarantee talk of anti-trade, anti-competitive practices, but now I'm not so sure. I mean, Scott seems to be making a serious run, and it seems to be making people a little nervous based on what I'm hearing about the Ben Henderson deal.
So you think they're not going to interesting? It'll be interesting to see what they do because, again, if you want to...
If Joe Silva is assaulting me, allegedly, well, no, not allegedly, he came assaulting me for wearing a T-shirt that had the words .com written on it, skullgame.com specifically, where I'm sitting on like 3 rows back off the cage, and I said, is it your desire that I sit here shirtless? And he didn't answer right away, and I finally said, I'll tell you what, I'll wear any shirt you give me. And at that point, the use of the word give seemed to be causative. He goes, okay, well, just keep your jacket closed. I mean, yeah.
Did you keep your jacket closed, though?
I didn't really think about it after that. I was like, I can't believe Joe Silva just busted my balls over a T-shirt. But, it was not in the rules that I couldn't wear it, so I wore it, But if they cared about that, they're going to care about the kid with the non-sponsorship. Will they fine him? Why not?
I think they'll probably just give him a talking to.
Like Kid Nate says, got to send messages.
Yeah, as opposed to giving, hey, here's some Reebok gear for your kid.
Yeah, because, that would be nice. That would have been nice. That would have been a gentle way to send a message. But this is not about gentle ways, because then you got about 5 or 6 guys trying to pull the same stuff.
I got kids too.
Yeah, that's right. Take one of these guys who's got 9 kids. He's running them out there and all kind.
It's funny. He has like all his crew. He comes out Hoist Gracie style, and they all have like competing.
Well, the money is significant, man. The money. I mean, I don't know how many times you've sat down with a calculator, but I'm just not. I guess I can't get fired like Stitch, who I think about routinely about once a month now. Wondering how he's doing, but it just doesn't add up, man. It just doesn't add up. It's bad. It doesn't. I mean, I keep hearing it's a good deal for the fighters, and I'm like, when's it a good deal for the fighters? Where? Which fighters is it good for?
Because I keep on saying eventually. That's just so funny is the fact that you have 2 things going on. One, you have a situation where the line has been, it's going to be good. This is going to be good. We're establishing something here for the future. But then on the other hand, you have situations where it's like, this game isn't for everybody, and you have a short space of time. So it's strange. It's like, you can't have it both ways.
Of apparel sales based on what Tap Out had done in the past, what Affliction had done in the past, and presumed that Reebok being involved in the UFC would increase sales. And I think that's where that promise of it's going to get better was coming from. The problem is, nobody's buying this crap. Nobody wants to wear this stuff. It looks terrible. It's got terrible branding. Fans hate it. Fighters hate it. Like, the thing with Tap Out was, hey, people had this sort of misimpression, and to some extent it was true early on. Hey, when I buy Tap Out, I'm supporting a fighter. Some of my money is going right to these fighters. There's none of that good vibes with the Reebok deal at all.
And then you have Donald Cerrone. It's funny, like partnering up with your boy Eugene, the Nazi hunter, and having a T-shirt defending the use of the flag. He mentioned how he normally would have an American flag with him in his trunks when he fought, and this time he's not. And he partnered up with Tim Kennedy to have a T-shirt that they're selling, and all proceeds go to veterans. So it's kind of this whole thing again. It definitely is not over, and it's going to be interesting to see how this whole dynamic develops. Speaking of developing, it's that time. I can do this without any guilt. Last week I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty having a Lost Battalion without Eugene, but I did it anyway. So Eugene, your Lost Battalion Phantom Toll Booth.
Did Eugene again?
What'd you say?
We lost Eugene just in time for the Lost Battalion.
Oh, Lord.
This time with a glum, serious look on his face.
Adding to the guilt. So Nate, Hillary Clinton?
Pretty damn close, man. But no, she's gonna do. She's got excellent chances to do very well in South Carolina. One big problem for Hillary, though, Texas early voting is going to start before South Carolina has their primary. So you got these big ass states with big ass delegate counts that are getting all this news from New Hampshire and feeling the burn. And the thing, Texas is a conservative state, but Democrats in Texas tend to be crazy because there's still Democrats in Texas. It's like you got nothing to lose being a Democrat in Texas. They came out heavy in 2008 voting for Obama and voting for Clinton in the primary. So that is something to watch. I don't think she's Lost Battalion yet, but if she keeps screwing up and doesn't have a positive message, she's in deep, deep trouble.
What about the GOP?
The GOP establishment is 100% Lost Battalion, man. These people, the fact that Christie was going after Rubio and Kasich is still in there and Jeb is talking about his South Carolina ground game, these people do not get it. Like, it's so much. And I don't think Trump is the second coming of Hitler. I think he's a Berlusconi in Italy. If you followed what Berlusconi did in the 90s and 2000s in Italy, that's what you're looking at with Trump, in my opinion.
Which is, if you could enlighten those who...
a loudmouth, blustering, pretty corrupt, media manipulator. Berlusconi was a media mogul. who was prime minister of Italy on and off for the better part of a decade. Super corrupt administration, got away with some flagrant bullshit. I mean, scandals with underage prostitutes and all kinds of shit said were just amazing, jaw-dropping things. Was not the best leader of the country, didn't leave him in better shape than he got there, but he didn't get him in any major wars, and it wasn't, there weren't death camps or anything like that. Now, Trump's going to have a little bit more latitude for shenanigans, but that's my bet. Anyway.
What's interesting about that is last night during the victory speeches, watching Bernie's first and then watching Trump's, was when Trump immediately went to the wall, the Mexico wall, the Mexican wall, I automatically thought, oh, fuck, this is like a building project, like for his boys. It's really interesting. I'd never thought about the fact that, utilizing, it's a problem that happens a lot of times with politicians in that they hook up their boys. Generally, it is boys they're hooking up, with projects. It happened in Washington, D.C. when Fenty was the mayor. There were allegations that his frat brothers were getting hooked up for all kinds of gigs that there was some question as to whether or not they were qualified to do. But, again, I'm going to get in power, as opposed to a situation where I'm in power, I'm going to hook people up. I'm going to get in power because it's a way in which I can have some nice contracts for folks. It's kind of creepy.
It's craziness. It's ironic that you started the whole thing with this joking speech about how you felt guilty doing the Lost Battalion without Eugene, and then we had to do the Lost Battalion without Eugene.
Exactly. Exactly. So what about Johnny Hendricks?
Oh, completely.
Is he Lost Battalion or is he Phantom Tollbooth?
He knows it. He's done. Like this, there's no more title runs in his future. The rumors that, the fact that his downfall, that his slide has corresponded exactly with the crackdown on performance-enhancing drugs.
Right.
The whole controversy with GSP wanting drug testing before his fight with Hendricks, didn't get it. Hendricks, the UFC had Hendricks' back, which was pretty crazy in retrospect. Then, he can't make weight against Tyron Woodley and they have to cancel the fight. Then he comes in looking pretty flat against Wonderboy Thompson. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Wonderboy because that was a brilliant performance and excellent fight skills and strategy in every way. But Hendricks didn't look like the same Johnny Hendricks, and I just don't see another title run in his future. So definitely Phantom Tollbooth.
And the last one is Team Alpha Male.
Yes, they are done. I think they know they're done too. I really do. The fact that I can't remember which fighter ended up running back to Bang Ludwig, but it's not just TJ Dillashaw.
And Lance Palmer, is that who it was?
Yeah, I think so. And then Benavidez went out and coached with other people. I mean, I think what people realized was we had a lot of camaraderie, we had great facilities, but when we get good coaching, it makes a huge difference. And once they'd seen what really good coach could do for their game, then they weren't satisfied with what they had. And when Faber became threatened by that, some gym owners are like, bring him in, like he didn't work things out with Bang Ludwig. He should have brought in another high-level coach. He should have poached somebody from Greg Jackson or something. There's plenty of good striking coaches out there that he could have brought in. But instead he's like, oh, we're going to stick together and do it the old way. People are like, no, I want to win belts. This is my career. This is my life. You're set, Faber, but I'm not. And so, yeah, I think they're done.
Do you think that it would have happened without Conor McGregor's little stick?
I don't think that helped any, but yeah, it would have still happened. I mean, the reality is they saw the guy that went with Bang the most win a title, and they saw other people that didn't not win titles. So, there you go.
So there you go. I think that's it for our show this week. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, at Kid Nate, at Alexi Old. Please give us a thumbs up, and if you could, Nate, thank you.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Actually, you push the thumb button below the screen.
Leave comments on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube, MMA Nation on iTunes. Visit Bloody Elbow. Read Eugene at Ozzy.com. And be sure to check out all three of us on Amazon.com or some of mine on Barnes & Noble if you hate Amazon. We'll be back next week with another installment of If I Did It. And we don't know what we'll be talking about yet because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.
Adios.